You can see these are the types of inheritances, right? So let us explore them one by one. First one is single inheritance. Now what is single inheritance? One base class and one derived class. The example that we saw in the previous slide is called as the single inheritance. Just a moment. Yeah. So when there is only one base class and a single derived class, we call it as single inheritance. Fine. Now, whenever we are deriving again from the derived class, here you can see already class B is a derived class, and from that class we are deriving class C. Understood? So this is called as multi-level inheritance. Now this chain can go up to any extent. C may derive D, D may derive E, right? So this is called as multi-level. You can see levels are being formed. That is what we call as multi-level inheritance. Now how do we write this? Simply, we must have created a class A. From the class A, we would have publicly derived, for example, sorry, we would have derived class B from class A, and then after class B, we must have derived class C publicly from class B, right? And the sequence goes on. Is it clear? Multi-level inheritance. Then let us talk about multiple inheritance. Multiple. This multiple stands for multiple base classes. Up till now, in multi-level, what you saw, it is just a single base class for every derived class like class B. There is only one single base class. Similarly, for class C, there is only one single base class, which is class B. In case of multiple inheritance, a single class is derived from more than one classes. Right? Here you can see class A and B collectively derive class C. Fine. So if there are more than one base classes in an inheritance scenario, then that inheritance is called as multiple inheritance, multiple base classes. Clear? There is an ambiguity which is related. I mean, there is a confusion. Ambiguity. A confusion is there which is related to multiple inheritance. We'll discuss about that later when the topic is required. Fine. Just remember that more than one classes, I mean, more than one base classes means multiple inheritance. The reverse of it is called as hierarchical inheritance. That means one base class and more than one derived classes. So how we would have written this? Simply, so there would have been some class A, then class P is publicly derived from class A, class C maybe publicly derived. I'm writing this public. You can have any type of inheritance, but commonly we use the public inheritance, right? So we are deriving it from class A again, and similarly for class D as well. Clear? So single base class and more than one derived classes. That is called as hierarchical inheritance. And remember, no matter whatever inheritance it is, we always create object of the derived class. Objects are created of the derived class only. The reason is we don't require to create object of the base class simply because whatever was to be inherited, that already has been inherited in the derived class. So if I create a derived class object as small b, with the derived class object, I can access almost everything which is required. That is why only derived class objects are created. So in this case, multi-level case, class C's objects would have been created. In this case also class C. Whereas in this case, we can create objects of class B, class C, and class D. Clear? Because all of them are derived classes. Fine. Now there is a case of hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance means there's a combination of all. You can see over here, we are having single inheritance, and with this scenario you can understand it's a multiple inheritance, right? So you may further go down and derive two classes from class D, that is E and F. So here it becomes a hierarchical inheritance. So any such inheritance scenario wherein more than one types of inheritance are involved, that is called as hybrid inheritance. Clear? And the last type, actually it's not a type, but we can consider it as a hybrid inheritance itself. But indirectly, we are having multiple paths to derive a single class. Fine. So this is class A, which is deriving class B and D, and then B and D are collectively deriving class C. Fine. So we are having multiple paths to derive class C. But this is again an example of hybrid inheritance, because this portion, if you see the above portion, is hierarchical, and if you consider the portion below this, it is multiple inheritance. Understood? So can consider this as hybrid inheritance itself, a, a very specific example of hybrid inheritance wherein a single derived class uh, is reached by more than one ways. That is called as multipath inheritance.